Hi, so I just have this little study on. I think it took about an hour and a half, and my main focus was to get those values right and also that edge work. Yeah, because I definitely need a lot more practice on those. It was initially going to be a part of this this goal I told myself. I told myself I would do 100 of these portrait studies. For the first, I think like 70 or 60, I did the block-ins. So if you don't know, it's pretty much just using three values to just block in different shapes. And it sort of looks like a face. But after a while, I got sick of those block-ins, and then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do full face renders. And it was going well. I did like 30, and after that, I got pretty sick of it. But I did learn a lot about just values in general, how important they are, and the edge work as well. Probably because I've been on grayscale too long, that I was just getting sick of it. I just needed some color. Maybe one day I'll come back to these and do an actual 100 of these studies. But anyway, I wanted to ramble on a bit about something that maybe you've experienced, but it's something I have experienced a few times. It's pretty much when I feel a bit overwhelmed, specifically in terms of the art field. And what I mean in this case is this feeling of anxiousness when I just think about how much there is to learn in art and this nagging feeling of having to catch up. I feel like there's multiple factors that lead up to this, which I will try and elaborate on. So it's happened to me a few times. I feel like it comes suddenly, like my brain would be just randomly thinking about, I don't know, memes or something. And then it's just like, surprise! I don't know, maybe it builds up in my head subconsciously and just comes rushing out. But usually what happens physically is that I feel like my heart starts to race, my breath feels shorter, and like low-key, I feel like vomiting. Or maybe it's just how much food I ate. And then mentally, I just have like a lot of thoughts cutting each other off and just speaking over one another, not being able to really have like a clear thought process. Sort of like this. I think I'm slowly learning to manage it. I find myself getting overwhelmed when I don't have a plan or a specific goal, and my mind would just be more prone to, going down that line of thought, I think. But yeah, when I have a goal or maybe a monthly challenge, like the 100 portraits I was supposed to do, it becomes a lot easier to focus and to just get tunnel vision on completing, those goals, and then I don't have to think about, oh, what am I doing tomorrow? It's like, oh, get this done, and we'll think about that later. Okay, but yeah, I think a bit of it is prompted by looking at a lot of amazing artists, this feeling of having to catch up, and that in turn makes me think about how far there is to go to get to their level, and their skill, and in turn how much I still have to learn and study things like anatomy, light, composition, perspective, values, life studies, master studies, figure studies, colors, characters, environments, hands. How the fuck do people draw hands and feet? Honestly, I'm feeling the pressure come back a little as I talk about this, but I feel like I should at least just get it out there and into the void. I think that's the interesting thing about social media. It's really a double-edged sword. Like, you can have access to all this amazing art and all these amazing artists, but it's really, your own perspective on how you internalize it and manage that, manage the way you see it, or like internalize it. And I think probably a reason why so many people get depressed or anxious could be because, we're never really, social media is still pretty new and we're not really taught how to manage those situations. But yeah, the sheer breadth of just how much there is to learn and how big the world is, that there's so many great artists with such unique voices and ideas who I want to stand beside. And it's probably like a silly thought, but a little part of me thinks that, oh, I have to get to their level in order to stand beside them or even interact with them, which is not true. I still like message like some big bigger artists sometimes. But yeah, like a smaller part of me just thinks, oh, if they probably won't talk to me unless I have a higher follower count or better art. I don't know. I think that fuel is definitely essential to push you forward, make you want to improve, but it can also be crippling if you let it overwhelm you and, if you let it push yourself down too much. I'm still learning to manage this. When I do feel overwhelmed, I usually just take some deep breaths to calm down first, calm down my breathing, and I take note of how fast my heart is beating. Just trying to listen, trying to feel it, and calm that shit down. After that, what I usually do is I'll do like a brain dump of everything that's running through my mind that makes me feel clogged and suffocated. And I find that it helps a lot to write it out. It almost feels like you're moving it from taking up space in your head, and now instead it's taking up space on the paper. Sort of like this video, how vocalizing it almost feels like a therapy session, to be honest. Just saying it, putting it out there. Nowadays, I see it happening less as I try to catch myself before spiraling down and trying to learn just not to care about where other people are at, but to still care enough about the right things. It's a weird contradiction. I don't really know what I mean by that, but yeah. In the end, it's still it's all a juggling act. You need that fuel to push you forward, but not to burn up your car. I don't know if that's a proper metaphor. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyways. I definitely feel like I'm still in that realm of just caring too much about just the small things, even like how I appear to others. But honestly, my goal would be to be like David So. He's in like a completely different, he's in like a different field, like comedy. But I just admire how he's able to just be comfortable in himself and just not give a fuck. Another thing that helps me when I do feel overwhelmed is I try to frame it positively. I tell myself, okay, if it affects you so much, it must be a sign that it's something you care about, that you want to improve, and you can use it as fuel to get better. Of course, if you don't get the same overwhelming, anxious feeling, it doesn't mean you don't want to improve. I think just everyone might internalize things differently. This is just more like my own rationalization to myself. And I don't think I could ever avoid it. It's almost inevitable, really. But I am learning to catch it in its tracks. I still go on Instagram to see all the amazing art that people make, but the moment I start feeling a bit icky, a bit overwhelmed, I just close the app immediately. I'm learning to put on my blinders and just not think about how many steps there are and how many 1,000 hours there's left to go, but just thinking, one step at a time, just keep moving forward.